Hey, this is Samantha once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request, this time from Deshonde. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, topics, reactions, re-reviews, whatever, feel free. You just send it either directly to my PayPal or Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for a film called Speech, which I never heard of. I guess it's based off a book. This is a film that came out in 2004. It might have gone straight to Showtime. I'm not sure. But it stars Kristen Stewart. Now this is the Kristen Stewart that I think by this point had done the film Panic Room. Of course, she would later be in the Twilight films. And to be fair with Kristen Stewart, I actually thought she did a nice job in this. I actually thought she did a nice job in this. It's a slow-paced movie. It's a slow build, and you find out about this girl in high school. She is a bit lonely. She's had friends in the past. They kind of ignore her because of an incident that they have misconstrued. They think one thing happened while another thing actually happened. She's looked at as a weirdo. And at times she wonders, like, what would happen if she just doesn't speak at all. And I will say it does take a bit to get going. It seems like the first hour is this bit of a slow build-up. With some decent cast members. I think Tristan Stewart, for what role she's told to portray. This girl who's an outcast, ostracized. Tell there's some baggage within her. She does fine. Steve Zahn, who I like, he plays an art teacher who is one of the few people that she kind of bonds with. Nice to see Steve Zahn in there. He's not playing goofy Steve Zahn. It's him showcasing to be a pretty decent actor. The mom and dad of our lead is played by Elizabeth Perkins, who was in the film Big with Tom Hanks. She was also, I think, Wilma. I think she was Wilma in the Flintstones movie from the 90s with John Goodman. I think that's Elizabeth Perkins. She plays the mom. The dad is D.B. Sweeney, who I've seen in some stuff, including Spawn from the 90s. The movie, that is. But D.B. Sweeney's been in other stuff as well. Robert John Burke, who played RoboCop in RoboCop 3, he's in this as a social studies teacher. And I didn't really understand this. Almost like, I don't even call it a subplot. Maybe it was in the book, but I don't know why it needed to be in the movie, because it didn't really lead to anywhere. This teacher who is just a fucking racist. Like, he's talking about social studies, and then he's talking about how he's asking the class on, like, the first day of school, why can't my son get a job? Because I guess minorities took his job and he thinks they should be back to the border, or like these very xenophobic stuff that, I mean, would get you fired nowadays, but fuck, would have got you fired back in 2004. Like, if enough people said this is what he said, or bring a fucking tape recorder, just tape recorders do exist, yeah, this is what he said, he'd be fired. He'd be fucking fired. But, like, why is this even part of the film? I guess because one kid says you're full of shit, and then that's kind of a kid she bonds with, but there's not a whole lot done with that either. It's just once in a while it's hard to even say they chat, like I think they're also lab partners in chemistry, I believe. Because the guy's in the film, but he didn't really make much of an impression on me as a character. But it's Steve Zahn trying to not push her, but hey, each person has to draw something out of this object. Your choice, the choice I've given you is a tree. And you're trying to help her in certain ways. And it doesn't really get, like, it's The first hour is alright, but it's not really that interesting. It's not really until the last half hour where it gets interesting, because that's when you finally start to find out what really happened. Where she was at this party, and she was raped. I mean, I'm going to say that word because that is a real word as opposed to a fake word. No, that is a word that is real, that is out there, and sadly does happen, has happened, sadly will happen again. It's a very serious issue, and because it's a very serious issue, we should be able to say the word because it is the truth. It is something that has happened, and it is a real issue. And I thought that Kristen Stewart did a nice job portraying trauma of someone who was raped based on her behavior, that she barely wants to talk, how she seems a bit out of it. She wants to tell someone, but she doesn't know if she wants to tell someone at the same time. How does she do it? Maybe she just blurt it out. Maybe she just tell the first person I see. And that really comes into play, it feels like in the last 30 minutes. And again, that's when the film got a bit more interesting, further detailing what happened. Her grades are slipping. It's just the first hour didn't seem as substantial compared to this last third of the film, honestly. That's why it makes me go, I don't know, maybe this is a movie that did not need to be a movie. Maybe it needed to be one of those 1 hour, I don't want to say after school special because that's belittling it. But, something to that effect, maybe. Like, to be honest, this could have been like an hour long, but that's too short for a movie. But I'm just saying, if some other kind of format, I think an hour long would work better for it. Like, keep the last half hour and the first half hour could honestly be condensed. Because, like, Robert John Burke being the Xeno, like, you don't need any of that. It doesn't really bring anything to the table. It's not really that interesting. It's not really pertaining to the story at hand, so to speak. I would say stick more with the Steve Zahn, Kristen Stewart friendship, which decently touching. Not that kind of touching, but you know what I mean. And they try to put in scenes where she's doing certain random acts, like she goes to this hospital, lies down on a random bed, and wonders if anyone will even notice if she's here. How long would it take for someone to notice I don't belong here? I guess it's its own symbolism of wanting someone to know she's there, to notice her, to, like, here I am, don't think of me as invisible, like that type of motif. Which maybe, I think there's maybe more dramatic ways, or more stronger pathos driven ways to detail that than just lying down on a random hospital bed, but that's what the movie wanted. I would say the movie, it's not bad. It's only an hour and 30 minutes, so it's not too long. The acting is not too shabby. The direction, it does have that quality of, it doesn't really try to be too stylized. The camera will try to sit there to let the characters talk and act. Kristen Stewart, Steve Zahn, like I said, they're pretty decent. Again, the third act got when the friends finally do find out what happened, and things do get better for the lead, and she is able to overcome the trauma, so to speak, and being able to open up people. Spoiler alert, and spoilers, because the guy who raped her, she's going out with her friend, former friend. The lead, Kristen Stewart, tells her what happened. she doesn't believe it, but then when she notices the guy says her some certain things, she does start believing it. So I like that. Doesn't take too long for that to happen, and then the rest of the school, they pretty much find out, and the guy tries to confront her and maybe rape her again, and she stops him, and the other ladies get there, and they pretty much ready to beat the shit out of him with hockey sticks or whatever. I think you get this nice little moment where you tell the mom has found out, and she's driving her daughter home, and she's like, well, if you don't want to tell me, I can understand. And Kristen Stewart's like, no, I'll tell you. And they start talking, but then the sound fades away, and you get the idea that, things are going to work out fine. It's kind of weird because Steve Zahn kind of becomes one of the primary characters, and I don't think he ever finds out what happened to her. Like, the last scene he's in is he's getting ready to quit, and she shows him this room that she painted and did all this art on the tree, which was her homework. And just the amount of work she did, he just marvels at that and goes, wow, that's good. But I guess one moment where Steve Zahn finds out and maybe hugs her or something to that, kind of like a little exclamation point to that sentence, so to speak. Just a little more, I don't know, just, it seemed like a little bit of that story was dangling, and at least for Steve Zahn's character to find out what happened, and this is what her process was, and this is why she was doing it. I don't know why that bugged me that it didn't happen. I think because we spend quite a bit of time with Steve Zahn, that would have been nice to see that in a little indentation, so to speak. But yeah, it's not really the type of film I seek out and watch, but like I said, it's not too long of a film, and I thought, if Kristen Stewart is capable of acting, because I thought for the type of role she's being told to play, so I said, oh, she's still a bad actress in this movie. No, I mean, to play a character that's gone through that type of trauma, she's not going to be fucking singing and dancing and jumping off the walls, seeing zippity fucking doodah. I mean, this makes sense. It's not something I've ever experienced, to be fair, but what the story was detailing, I could make sense of how this character and why this character is reacting the way she is because of what happened. And I thought Kristen Stewart did that decently well. So it's like Robert Pattinson. I thought he did a decent job in Good Time, I believe it was called. So, they might be a bad movies like Twilight, but they could have their moments in other places. And Kristen Stewart had her moment. I think this might have been before Twilight, because I think the film she had done before this was Panic Room with Jodie Foster, because she played Jodie Foster's daughter in that. So, yeah, I mean, not a bad film. I don't think it's a bad film at all. Steve Zahn, nice to see him play something a bit more serious. He still jokes a little bit with the class, but yeah, it's still a bit more of a serious role, and Steve Zahn played that off fairly well. Yeah, I like Steve Zahn as an actor. And, yeah, with that said, yeah, the whole Robert John Burke racist teacher thing, that didn't need to be in it. It just wasted time. At least it didn't really pertain to the actual story at hand, in my opinion. I guess just one of those, of just part of school life, I guess. But with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.